In today's narrated jiu-jitsu rolling, I'm up against Zach. I started jiu-jitsu in 2016 and I believe Zach started in 2015, so he has 1 year on me as well as 50 pounds of that man strength. If you've watched more than one video, let's be friends. I welcome you to subscribe, come be a part of our grappling family. Now, when you're grappling, the first step to passing guard is to open their guard, which means unhooking their ankles. So unless you're fully greased up, like the greased up deaf guy, a Family Guy, you're not going to just slip through a closed guard. So I reach back to push one of his ankles down, and be careful there not to underhook their leg. If you watched my last video, you know an underhook causes one arm in and one arm out, puts you at risk to get triangled. I pass Zach's guard, however, I drive too hard, and if your center line passes theirs, or if you load your hips onto theirs, especially in this case of Katami, it increases the risk of getting swept from side control, and Zach capitalizes and gets the sweep. I grab a single leg before Zach can settle and get knee on belly. Zach grabs the back of my head and chin, which is a setup for a guillotine. You can defend a guillotine by double legging. In order to defend the guillotine, get to the opposite side, so that's why I jump over his legs. I fight to staple his legs in order to defend the hooks and get past his legs. Zach uses leverage from the guillotine to sweep me. When you get swept, get the best worst position, which is why I look to get his legs between mine to get into a deep half guard. If you're in the bottom of half guard, you're in a much better position than being on the bottom of mount or side control. From deep half guard, I'm working my deep half guard sweeps. During the transition, Zach escapes from my half guard, so my legs are no longer controlling his leg. If you don't have their leg between yours, they can move to make your position worse, and as you can see from this Darce submission. I look for a submission of my own. From Zach's open guard, I go to combat position. From combat position, I knee cut over his leg to get my arm over his head to get a guillotine. I was not able to get my hands together in time. Had my hands been connected, I could have used the leverage to help turn him to his back. I try a reverse gable grip guillotine here as a Hail Mary submission attempt. However, ironically, I did not have faith in it because typically you can do this submission when they're on the top of you on either side and you're on the bottom. Here's a helpful principle. When you're on the bottom, move to face your opponent. When you're facing your opponent, you're now able to use your legs to help defend. I want my legs between me and Zach just like you want your legs between you and your opponent. That is called replacing your guard. I defend the cheap ankle lock by extending my leg. Zach moves to Keisakatami, which is a side control pin in judo. From the bottom of Keisakatami, instead of doing the leg over sweep, I'm going for a shotgun armbar. I frame hard against Zach's chin to get a leg over, but Zach fights and is able to escape getting shotgun armbarred by clearing my top leg. I frame to get Zach's head high enough to go for another armbar. However, Zach knows better and works extra hard to keep his head low. Let me know in the comments, is this submission a Darce or an anaconda? Typically the orientation is front headlock and locking at the armpit side is an anaconda. This is in the opposite orientation, so since we're both facing the same direction, would this be a Darce? Let me know. In any case, this choke isn't on. I'm making it frame with my arm by punching into the ground and tucking my chin to allow blood flow through my arteries so my shoulder isn't pressing against my neck. The shoulder pressing against your neck in addition to the bicep on the other side is what causes the blood strangulation referred to as chokes in jiu-jitsu. I tell Zach his choke is crap and Zach tells me he's going to submit me with his man strength. I use my woman intelligence to make the executive decision my chiropractor would be proud of and tap to the neck crank. In a voice that can only be described as the guy on BJJ Reddit who has more opinions than mat time, I say, bro, it wasn't on. I tapped because it was a crank. Zach giggles and offers the philosophical quote of a tap is a tap. Catch me offline, bro.
Catch me outside, how about that?
Here is some aggressive leg pummeling and a useful tip for your leg attacks. Pummel to get inside position, and your primary leg, the one that you're attacking, is going to be the leg between your legs. This will help your leg locks, ankle locks, heel hooks, knee bars, all those great submissions. I lace the legs and drive to get back exposure to get his back. From turtle, I get a seatbelt so I can attack his back like a little tiny backpack attacker. Zach is lucky. I would have controlled his back and choked him with a rear naked choke if I only had 10 more seconds. But don't worry, this next round gets even more interesting.
I was trying to do like the arm triangle, like pushing on my own. Yeah. I'm sure I was just pushing it.
Yeah, like, well, I have my shoes tucked underneath, so I'm giving
It's like, I got it. I got it.
I have to show you our second round because what happens next is something. So for the second round, we decided to train with slaps and start from standing. This is different from combat jiu-jitsu because in combat jiu-jitsu, you can't do the strikes while standing. Eddie Bravo's CJJ Jiu-Jitsu tournament only allows matches to have slaps from the ground, not from standing. This is a great way to train jiu-jitsu, especially if you're looking to get into MMA or wanting to keep your jiu-jitsu more realistic in terms of self-defense. I tell Zach, go for that ankle pick and do an uppercut slap feint. Dives for my ankle anyway, so I uppercut slap, and I really did not mean to slap him this hard. The slap was twice as hard because he literally ran into my hand as I was trying to slap the crap out of him. Zach's reaction is priceless. You would have thought I insulted his mother. I literally saw flames ignite in his eyes. I tried to tell him that, like, hey dude, you ran into my hand. I wasn't trying to slap you that hard, and I'm backing it up right now like I'm in a rap video because I'm trying to get my hips as far away from Zach's as possible because I could read it loud and clear. He was like, oh no, you didn't. I am going to throw you. White belts, here's a great tip for you. If you ever want a good competition roll, go up to an upper belt, slap them across the face and say, I challenge you to a duel. I guarantee you will awaken the beast. If you didn't catch it back there, Zach went straight past knee on belly and went knee on neck. Good thing I have trained at the academy, so I'm immune to torture. Zach goes for a Suluev type stretch submission. I was going to pay $100 to go to Stretch Lab to get this work done, but all I had to do was slap Zach. I'd call this a win. From the bottom, I muffle Zach because in jiu-jitsu, when you're in a compromised position, it's important to be a complete pain in the butt. If you didn't catch it during round one, Zach tried to muffle me, but I licked his hand, which grossed him out enough to remove the muffle. He called me gross. I told him it was a successful defense. Zach tries to defend the muffle using my palm lick technique, but I am not grossed out. Zach says to me, what is this, the academy? Because where I had trained previously and got my blue belt, we were renowned for brutality. In fact, the owner, J-Jack, would get emails asking if they could pay him large sums of money to get beat up by him. Kind of like some of the emails I get now. And I usually beat people up for free, but for any special requests, I train in Beverly at Invictus. Going rate is, let's just say $1,000 an hour. Show up to get beat down. Subscribe for more. Here are some useful tips so you can defend the rear naked choke and escape back control. If they have a triangle hold, try to get the lock side down to the ground so you can ankle lock them. It does take work because they will switch the triangle lock if they're smart. Zach says, look at me, I'm Gordon Ryan, and racks up points for simply switching the triangle lock. I can't say that's not accurate. When your back is being controlled and they're trying to choke you with a rear naked choke, try to win the hand fight game by getting control of their hands and use overhooks to capture their arms under your arms. Go for their knuckle line to control the choking hand, and as you try to get over their bottom leg. At this point, Zach tightens the body triangle to the point that I'm thankful I didn't eat that entire pizza the night before. He captures my left arm, so now it's looking like a see how long I can survive before the clock runs out type of moment, and I swear there should only be a few more seconds left, so if I can defend the rear naked choke and actually not crap my pants from that tight body triangle, then I'm calling that a win. It does take time to create and edit these videos, and I really enjoy doing it for you. It's like a really big hug, so thank you so much for subscribing and liking the videos, and I really enjoy reading your comments. And always remember, if you are in a difficult position, if you're in a bad spot, stay strong and make it as difficult as possible for them to do anything to you. So just be, be a big pain in the butt. Pain, PITB energy. I guess you call it. What I'll do is I'll replay these two rolls with minimal edits. That way you can see everything in real time. And yeah, so I will see you in the next video. Love you. Bye.
This here with all the ice on in the booth. At the gate outside, when they pull up, they give me loose. Yeah, jump out, boys. That's Nike boys. Hop in our goose. This shit way too big. When we pull up, give me the loot. What's off the Remy? Had a back boost. Had to hit my old down. You duck the news. 4-hour lockdown. We made no moves. Now it's 4 a.m. and I'm back up popping with the cool. I just landed in Chase B mixes pop like Jamba Joe's. Different color chains, see my jeweler really selling fruits. And they joking, man, know the crackers wish it was a no. Someone said, lay up the keys, someone said, this shit way too formal, y'all know I don't follow suit. Stacy Dash, most of these girls ain't got a clue. All of these hoes I made off records I produce. I might take all my exes and put them all in a group. Hit my essays, I need the booch. About to turn this function into final room. Told her I been, you coming too. In the 305, bitches treat me like I'm Uncle Luke. Had to slot the top off, it's just a roof. She said, where we going? And I said, the moon. We ain't even make it to the room. She thought it was the ocean, it's just a pool. Now I gotta open, it's just a ghost. Who put this shit together? I'm the glue. Someone said, shorty face got me out the blue. Someone said, motherfucker, someone said. Astro. Yeah. Hey. She's in love with who I am. Back in high school, I used to bust it to the dance. Now I hit the FBO with duffels in my hands. I did half a Zan, 13 hours till I land. Had me out like a light, ay, like a light, ay, like a light. Ay, slept through the flight, ay, not for the night. 767, man, this shit got double bedroom, man. I still got scores to settle, man. I crept down the block, made a right, cut the lights, made a price, niggas think it's sweet, it's on sight, nothing nice, baggage in my ice, Jesus Christ, checks over stripes, that's what I like, that's what we like, lost my respect, you're not a threat, when I shoot my shot, that shit wetty like on Shaq, see the shots that I took, wet like on Brooke, wet like on Lizzie, I be spinning valley circle blocks till I'm busy, like where is he? They keep that on like I say, you know this shit is life, yeah, it's absolute, yeah, I'm back with proof, it's lit, got Ferrari, back on the road, they jumping up, no parachute. Yeah, shorty in the back, she say she working on the glutes. Yeah, ain't by the book. Yeah, it's how it look. Yeah, got to check. Yeah, just check the foots. Yeah, pass this to my daughter, I'ma show her what it took. Baby mama cover Forbes, got these other bitches shook. Yeah.
That real ass ain't keep your nigga home. Like I do it fast, real fast, fast, fast. He send me my old song, yelling ass, ass, ass. Babies beating, trying to beat me, then they crash, crash, crash. Still 100 like the number on my dash, dash, dash.
She like I do range, keep on doing it, keep on doing it, bitch looking back, I know you don't like me, you wanna fight me, you don't want no problem, let your party, don't invite me. I don't worry about you niggas, they start talking about me, always talking about me cause you looking for the clout. T6 Nina, the 9 Nina, riding in a 2-seater with 2 Ninas, then you got the Aquafinas, cocaínas, smoking on that OG reefer, no DMV. Forgiatos on a bitch truck, make a friend talk, so she could get you now. She let my friends walk, stars shining in the Rolls Royce, ain't got red cuts. Wait, hold up, nah, I still don't give a fuck. Vroom, vroom, G5, vroom, vroom, V-I. You the type of nigga that I never wanna be like. You the type of bitch that will never get a reprieve. High hater, buy hater, vroom. Like I told him, Randy, people don't get
That real ass ain't keep your nigga home. Yeah, eat a cookie monster. He a slave to this pussy, call me monster. Real wet, I said slurping like it's pasta. They get nervous when it's Nicki on a roster. Somebody usher this nigga into a clinic. My flow still sick, I ain't talking the pandemic. I write my own lyrics, a lot of these bitches gimmicks. They study Nicki style, now all of them want mimic. Talking about snitches when it's snitches and you can't. Never stand alone, you always itching for a stamp. Me, I'm still money, this is light up like a lamp. They gon' have to send their best fighter for the champ. I got a Mary, I'm popping. They keep hating, but still watching. Check the boards, I'm still topping. Bust down a plain Jane, I got options. It's a bunch of mini me's, I'm the one they mocking. Showed you how to get a bag, now you going shopping. When I come out, all the sneak bitches start plotting. When I come out, it's a sweet bitches start mopping.